sharply higher at the open, stocks continued to perform well over the course of the day Tuesday.
And I think that bodes well here over the next couple of years for having bigger demands coming to this country.
Now, more of Neal Asbury's Made in America.
Welcome to Made in America. I'm your host, Neal Asbury, together with co-host Dr. Rich Roffman. Hey, Rich, we've been so fortunate lately to have some really great stories of various folks out there who are doing really incredible things to help our people, whether it is in vocational training. We had the Metallica people, the heavy rock band Metallica, believe it or not, has how many? They've raised millions of dollars.
Almost $6 million have been given away in the last almost 10 years.
Right. And we've also had Jethro Tull's people on.
For scholarships.
For scholarships.
So you can get an apprentice program and become a tradesman or person, I should say.
But Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull, right? He has done some incredible stuff with helping our wounded warriors and providing jobs here to actually make hand sanitizer, during the pandemic. A really, really fascinating story. But we're just seeing that all over the country.
Well, the serviceman also got a free Bundy flute. I want you to know that, because that's what he played.
He was the flautist.
That's right. He was the flautist.
Yeah.
Had to throw that in. Sorry.
On one leg, right?
Yep.
I mean, that was his thing. But no, he had a great band. Well, both of them were great bands. But just incredible things going on, and we're seeing that the late Charlie Daniels been on our show. Great guy.
Great guy.
And talking about his support of entrepreneurialism and how he loved creating jobs, through his music, and all these families that he's seen grow up, these young kids that's grown up because of the work that he's done as an entrepreneur. Very, very fascinating. Well, we have another great story right now. We have with us Brian Hamilton. He is the founder of Sageworks, a very successful financial tech company. And he's also the founder of Inmates to Entrepreneurs. And Brian is joining us right now. Brian, welcome to Made in America.
Yeah, hey, fellas. How you guys doing today?
Good. So tell us about Inmates to Entrepreneurs. I mean, it's really fascinating. I mean, sure. I've read about it, and on your website and the Brian Hamilton Foundation. I mean, very fascinating. Tell us what you're up to.
Well, actually, Rich and Neal, it's kind of funny. I've been an entrepreneur since I was a kid, and I always joke that it's the only organization I ever formed. I'll never make any money from it, but I've been doing it 29 years, and what I love about it is the title. The title is the description, right? I mean, basically, we help people who have been incarcerated, and not just people who have been incarcerated, but judicially involved, to start their own small service businesses, because statistically, the bottom line is it's very, very difficult for people coming out of prison or involved with the judicial system to get a decent job. In fact, it doesn't happen. It's the politicians talk about it, but it just doesn't happen. It really does not happen, certainly on a statistical basis. So Reverend Harris and I started in 1992. Can't believe it. Back when Nirvana was big, and that was a different day. It was 29 years ago. Reverend Harris and I, he was doing sort of this Bible ministry, the Bible thumping around the different prisons. I went with them. I love Reverend Harris. He's a sort of a beam of light. And I met some people in prison, and small talk during the sort of Bible stuff. Hey, what are you going to do when you get out? I'm going to try to get a job. And I remember thinking, wow, man, that might be hard to do. So that was the light bulb moment. That was the inception or the genesis of Inmates to Entrepreneurs. As an entrepreneur, I thought, hey, instead of getting a job, go create one. Go create your own job. Create your own company. And Rev and I started going around to the prisons and teaching people how to start low-capital service businesses. And, of course, 30 years later, we have, well, actually, I guess an entire North American footprint now. I think we've reached about 1 million people. And it's all about, it's really, I'm going too long here to a simple question, but it's all about empowering people to take control of their lives, and hey, let's go forward here. Let's make something happen. Whether it's racism or sexism or discrimination against people who have been in prison. I mean, that's just the way it is. So what do we do to change that? And the way we change that is we make people entrepreneurs, because if you look at the history of the United States, I don't like the word disadvantage, but every group that has had difficulty, the way they've risen up is through being an entrepreneur. So that, I don't know if that's answered the question. It probably answered your one question and 3 other ones.
Yeah, but we speak serpentine, so don't worry about it. We can do that, and we can all wind up in the same place. You may do a few curves, but we're waiting for you. So, all right. So I think this is a really good thing, and there are a number of folks in South Florida, which is where we broadcast from, that feel the same way that you do. You know, if you look at the stats, maybe you know this. But the stats of those who wind up back in prison because they really have nothing to do. They're set out into a society. They don't know how to deal with it. And they're not trained to deal with the reality of taking care of themselves anymore. And I don't mean this in a pedantic sense that, oh, my God, I don't know how to whatever. I mean in the terms of paying bills and things like that. How are they going to make the money to do that? And unless they learn how to wash, I saw this in a James Cagney movie. So unless they learn how to do laundry or something in the prison, they're not taught to do that. So what you're doing, I think, is giving them a passport. You're giving them an opportunity to have this document and an intellectual document that they can then go out there and actually not wind up back in prison, which does everybody no good. It doesn't do them any good, it doesn't do the victim any good, and it doesn't do us as taxpayers any good, because we're underwriting the same problem, and we deal with a Band-Aid, but we don't deal with the virus.
Well, why is that? That's Dr. Rich. That means you've got a PhD that makes you dangerous, a dangerous man.
Yeah, I mean, it cost my father a lot of money to have the wrong doctor.
I'm goofing on you, but I'm goofing on you. But what I'm saying is, why is that, though? You guys ever think about that? Like, let's be honest, right? I'm 58 years old, okay? I ran a tech company for 20 years. I sold it 3 years ago. I've been doing this whole Inmates to Entrepreneurs thing for 30 years, right? I mean, honestly, Dr. Rich, Neal, I haven't run into, no one argues with us. I mean, the liberals, the conservatives, the whites, the blacks, the women, men, it doesn't matter. People from the South, people from South Florida, everybody gets it immediately. They all understand it, right? Here's the thing. We all believe that it's just an amazing phenomenon. We all believe that, if you do something wrong, there should be some punishment, or you pay your, pay back to society, whatever it is, right? We all believe that, right? I really think that, here's the truth. I really think this, that it is difficult, right, okay, in America today, or, it doesn't matter. It is difficult for people to think in a blank slate way. I don't care who they are. I don't care if it's Dr. Rich or Neal or Brian Hamilton. It's very difficult for us to do that. It's almost like it sounds great until you got the opportunity. Let me give you a simple example. Just a simple example. I'm a business guy. I mean, largely that's mostly what I am. In the United States, if you go bankrupt, this is true. You can look this up. If you go bankrupt, you basically stiff your creditors. You don't pay them, right? You go bankrupt. Mm-hmm. In 10 years, there's no record of that anywhere. No record. You cannot find a record of that. That's going bankrupt, which as a businessman is not exactly a great model, right? In the United States of America today, if you commit a crime, and I mean, by the way, crime's a strong word, guys. Let's be real. I'm not talking about bank robbers here. I'm talking about a DUI, God forbid, or a failure to appear. Do you know that appears in a Google search in perpetuity? You can't get that off. My son, and I know God hates when I do this, but he got a DUI. He was a college kid who was drinking. Can you imagine that? Can you actually believe that? He's a college kid who was drinking. Got a DUI. You pull him up, there's mugshots right there. And so what I'm trying to say is I think individually people are good. But the collective is where we get into problems. And, for example, in hiring people, let's just get real. Let's get real here. It's true. When people apply for jobs, what's the first thing you do on me, guys? You pull up Google. He's a fintech entrepreneur, this and that, whatever. Same thing in the hiring process. You hit the Google, you pull the guy up, and guess what? That person doesn't even get to – if they get to fill out the application, it's thrown in the garbage. And so it's a great injustice. I'm sorry, Dr. Rich. I'm going on too long. Your point is well
it's
taken.
good. This is good stuff.
It's a great injustice. It's a great injustice. And the only way that's going to change, like racism or every other ism there is out there, is when people start to change their hearts. And that's hard to do.
Hey, Brian, man, it's been a great segment. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but boy, you summed it up very well. We'd like to get you back and keep us informed about your progress and dig deeper into this. It's very, very fascinating. Brian Hamilton, the founder of Inmates to Entrepreneurs.
And give the website. Where's the website, Brian? How do they reach you?
Inmates to Entrepreneurs, which if you can spell entrepreneurs, you get extra credit. Go to the brianhamilton.org. Brian,
Here you go.
I-B-R-I, brianhamilton.org. That's the best place to go.
Wonderful.
Hey, Brian, thanks for being with us.
Hey, thanks a lot, fellas. Appreciate it, man. Bye-bye.
Coming up, Dr. Rich and I still have a lot more to talk about.
Made in America.